the things that kind of work for us and what we found to be good. So we'll kind of just go through it. It's not really in any particular order. It's kind of just how we were talking through it. So it may be a little bit out of order, but it'll all still apply. So one of the things, as far as like making eye contact with people or interacting with the guests, we do make eye contact with people that come up to see the nativity. Like little kids will come up and like they're just, you can tell in their faces they're just really excited to see you there, and so we'll look at them and smile and acknowledge them.
Because sometimes the adults will ask questions and something, kind of, you just don't really jump out of character to answer the questions and stuff. Just kind of smile at them and acknowledge them that they're there, but don't really break character too much to deal with them.
Just stay in character, and then like, of course, you wouldn't want to, even if you see somebody you know, you're still in character. You wouldn't want to wave at them like Kayla. You would look at them like maybe Mary would, but so like no waving really, things like that. But yeah, for making eye contact, as long as you're in character, I think that's a good thing. We did have a lady ask us last year. I don't know if we told you this, Vicki. A lady came up to the nativity, and Ben was animating the baby, which we'll talk about later, and she was like looking, and she said something about the baby being real, and so then she addressed us and said, is that your baby? And so, we're staying in character. She was talking to us as Ben and Caitlin, but we were like, well, we don't want to break characters, so we just kind of smiled and nodded. And she said, oh, what a beautiful family. Like, I'm sure she thought we were married and that was our baby.
Right.
But
but too, they know you're not Mary and Joseph, so they're expecting you to be portraying it. So you're not. That's not necessarily. You're doing your best to portray it. So it's not like you're telling a lie if you don't break character, because they're expecting you to be the character.
Right. So. We're creating an experience for them. We want them to believe it, even though we don't want them at the same time.
Right.
Because they know that, but you want to be convincing. So I guess making eye contact and talking is okay if it's in character. So kind of along those lines, think about your expression, and it's easy as the night wears on, because you're out there for a couple hours. If you get tired, you just don't want that to read on your face. You don't want them to know that you're tired. So kind of think about your expression and how it's going to be read by the people who are seeing you. And I'm going to jump forward a little bit to this because it goes along those lines.
Sure.
So think about your expression, how it's reading, not just for them, but also for pictures, because people are taking a lot of pictures, and those will be on social media and sent out to people. So just like, what impression do we want to give? We want them to come away from Christmastown thinking that it was very professional and a good production, and for people who see any pictures to think that too. And plus, it's creating that believability for them. So just kind of think about that, and
should jump into just thinking about what you're portraying too.
Yeah.
It's like if it was you, think about if it was you and you are there and you're holding the Christ child. It's just like, how would you think in that moment? It's like, this is God's son, and I'm his father, I'm his mother. What would that do to you? How would you interact? How would you think about just sitting there? This is what's happening. So that will read, if you can just keep that fresh in your mind.
And you could
obviously.
You could talk about what you made that point before about a time to reflect.
Yeah.
Along those lines.
Because obviously Christmas for everybody's so busy, and I found that last year, because it's just like even being Mary and Joseph, it's just like, okay, now I'm here and I'm going to be Mary and Joseph and stuff.
Yeah,
but
getting
you're sitting
costume,
there for
getting
2
your
hours,
makeup,
or however long it is. It's several hours.
a couple hours at least.
That was a time where I could just think, because it's just like I was saying, you're thinking about what it was. It's just like you can take that time and just reflect, just like what God did, and just like, wow, this is so amazing. And there were several times I teared up just sitting there. It's just like, wow, I get to portray this, and it's just like, what would it have felt like, to actually to be there. So it's a good time just to, it's obviously you'll be able to talk to each other and stuff while you're sitting there too, but it's good to reflect too.
So, I just thought of this, and I didn't write it down, but, just talking about, like, putting yourself in that place. So you are in character, obviously, like, when you're interacting with people, with each other, with the baby, you're in character, but, it's okay to interact with each other and to talk, like, I did actually put that. So conversation is okay, but, just nothing too over the top.
Animated.
Yeah, too animated, or like telling a funny story and you're both just like laughing, you know, you want it to be
I mean, it's okay to laugh with each other and
Right.
smile a little bit, but not
Right.
just like
calmly.
cracking up and
Yeah.
telling jokes or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah, so just
Because
like,
you are real people. I mean, Mary
Yeah.
and Joseph weren't like this set apart, just above everybody
Perfect, yeah,
else.
statues.
Just they were real people. So act like you would be a real person, but
Yeah.
just thinking about what is happening.
yeah, if you can just kind of be at ease and in character, sort of. I mean, like, I'm not sitting there the whole time like thinking as Mary and like I'm literally Mary when I'm sitting there. I'm Caitlin portraying Mary, because it's a long time to sit there and you don't have lines necessarily, but you are portraying Mary, so you are in character in that way. So we would talk a little bit on and off and have conversation, but quiet. You know, it's okay to be quiet too, because that is that time to reflect
Because
and.
Mary and Joseph would have talked together, obviously. Too.
Right, yeah. So if you can just kind of be natural and at ease with each other, with the baby, and with people coming around, and just, you know, enjoy it too. So I guess pick up right there, because that's where I kind of left off. Again, like as you get kind of maybe tired or the night is kind of going on, just make sure that you don't look tired or you're not acting tired with the guests coming up, because for them it's still new. Like even if we've been sitting there for an hour or two, some of those guests have just gotten there and they're seeing it for the first time. So you want to give the people at 7:30 the same experience that you gave the people when you were fresh at 5 or whatever time you go out there. It's 5, right, or 6? Yeah. So you want to give that same, in other words, just keep your energy up and keep the performance, because you are performing, the same, you know, and keep the energy up for the people that are coming and going. So it'll be new to them, even if it's your third night at 7:30. And kind of, we mentioned this already, but you want to make it real, even though it's kind of like meeting a character at Disney World. Like, you know, they're not real, but there's something about it that still has some kind of magic behind it. And I don't mean to equate a Disney character to Mary and Joseph, but just for the sake of example of what that's like. Even as an adult, I find myself like, I totally know it's somebody in costume, but there's something kind of bigger, larger than life about it, I guess. Do you know what I mean? So it's special to make it real and convince the people that are seeing you, because it was real. It did happen at one time. So we're recreating those events and trying to show what that would have been like, even though we might not know. But that's a really incredible privilege. So going on with making it real and trying to convince people, part of that, of course, a lot of that has to do with the baby. And so
how you handle the baby, because it's a
Yeah.
fake baby. And we actually I figured out how to move the baby to make it look like it was moving, like a real
or like
baby,
breathing,
because it's
like
just
chest.
sitting there.
yeah, he's really good
It's
at
kind
it.
of, it's a fake baby and you have to manipulate it, so I don't know if everybody would be comfortable doing that, but I had fun with it, because you'd have people come up and they'd be like, it's a fake baby, and then you learn how to move it, and just enough, and they stop and they look at it, it's just like, oh, it's real. And there was like
A lot of
several
people.
couples that had large families, and it's like, they're used to seeing real babies, and they thought it was a real baby, and so it was,
Yeah, because there's
it
a
was
lot of
fun to try and convince people.
There's a lot of
It
material
was.
there that you're holding the baby with. So with the hand underneath them, and you want to make sure nobody sees your hand, but you can easily hide your hand, and so
Yeah, because it'll hang over this hand, and one hand can like be behind the head, and you
Yeah.
can like move it and stuff. But
yeah. But that's something that you would want to make sure that I mean, it's a fun thing to
Mhm.
try, and it does convince people.
yeah,
So
if you're comfortable with it, because
yeah.
you can make it, if you're moving it too extreme, you can make it seem
But
weird.
if it's something that you thought you would want to try,
Mhm.
or even just holding the baby, even if you're not going to move him,
Mhm.
Watch babies if you have a little niece or nephew, or even on you. Do you? Yeah.
Yeah,
So that
if
would
you-
be good.
If you're still holding on to babies, that helps a lot.
American Patties.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
because
Just having you.
Yes.
that's
Months
awesome.
ago.
That's a great opportunity, and it's a her, right?
Mhm.
If you can hold her, or just get used to what that weight feels like,
Mhm.
and watch the way they move. He's better at it than I am. I've probably not actually been around as many babies as Ben has with his nieces, our nieces and nephews now, but just learning the way that they move and little things like that. And again, even if you're not going to try to do that, just practicing with like the weight and we pass the baby back and forth throughout the night because your arms probably will get tired, and it looks more natural anyway because Mary Joseph would have probably passed the baby. So, but the way that you do that, think about supporting the head and like the way you would pass a real baby. Yeah. The way that you would hold a real baby and support and pass a real baby.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and you can interact with the baby. Obviously, he's not real, but the whole thing is to make it real. And if you're in character and in the moment, then that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then interacting with each other, we talked about. So don't be afraid to converse or not converse, and don't be afraid to smile and interact with people and think about people taking pictures and just the wonder and awe of it. We want to make it really special for them. Even though you're sitting and you're because I think the easy thing to do is, especially since you're out there for a long time and you're sitting there, is to just kind of like get too comfortable to where you're not really like, it's not an active position. It's more of like, I'm too laid back, if that makes sense. Like you want to be expressive right, like, yeah, you don't want to slouch or like have the baby down here and you're just talking and it's a sitting position, but it's an active position at the same time, and you want to be mentally and expressively active even though you are sitting there. You are performing even though you're sitting there, and you may not have lines or whatever in a typical what you call performance, but you are performing in a different way.
Another thing too, with costumes, you're gonna be wearing costumes that you're not used to wearing every day. So sometimes, like it'll slide down or your hat will
Wardrobe
get shifted and
malfunctions.
stuff. And you're not used to it, so it's easy to like, oh, I'm looking weird. So you kind of react to it not naturally. Just try and get comfortable in them.
Mhm.
If something moves, just grab it like you grab your coat. Same thing, like you'll have probably a blanket
Yeah.
to keep yourself warm. Do the same thing. And if you're sitting there, your back gets sore in a position. Don't be like worried about people noticing, and just move like you would normally.
Yeah.
Just
It doesn't have to be awkward, like, oh, honey, my shawl, my thing on my head is falling down. Can you
Yeah.
pull it up?
right.
It's okay to
'Cause
reach
you're
back and
used
pull
to
it up.
wearing it. You're
We'll try to pin it to your heads.
Right,
That
yeah,
helps.
right.
Yeah.
But should something slip or whatever, it's
Yeah.
not the end of the world. Just
Mhm.
fix it and don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's more awkward if you draw attention to it than
Right.
if you just fix it.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's a good point. Yeah, and just energy along the lines of that, and staying active mentally and expressively. Just think about putting energy behind your performance. And even if you're tired, you might have to make yourself, and it's probably going to be a conscious effort,
Mhm.
but it needs to have energy behind it.
But not like over the top.
Well, no, yeah, you're
Energy,
not,
that's not
right.
like a force of energy. You're
yeah,
just,
not like expression, like
you're just,
here's the
you're
baby.
just staying in the role.
Yeah.
Keeping aware of the people around you, and just
Yeah.
staying aware.
And that's another thing with like making eye contact with people. It does help to feed off the energy of the people that are seeing you, because you hear them making comments like, how neat it is, or whatever they might be saying, or you look out and see a little kid standing there and they're just like wide-eyed and smiling, and it's so magical for them, and that can re-inspire you to just be refreshed and keep going, because you see what it is doing for people and how it excites them, and then that can excite you and bring some energy back to your performance. So that's why I think it's good to look out sometimes and see people and
Yeah, because
Gotta be
sometimes I
aware.
would do that, just kind of like, as I'm sitting there, Joseph, he's like the protective father of, and husband, and so when you see people gathered around, I would like, just kind of look at them and just, imagining, these people are coming, like the shepherds, and they're there to see the child. It's just like, looking at them, just kind of with a look in my eyes, just like, wow, these people are here to see Christ too, Jesus, and it's like, it's an amazing thing if you can read that, just looking at the people, just like, you're here to see him as well. And isn't this amazing, this gift that God has given? It's really cool,
Yeah.
just to be able to do that. And I think people like that interaction a little
Mhm.
bit too. It like pulls them in
yeah.
a little bit to the.
And that helps with expression too, like you were saying before about thinking about what it would have been like and how it would have felt. And as you're thinking about all those emotions playing out in your mind and heart, and that will come out on your face, and it's subtle things. It's not over the top. It's just the subtle expressions and just ways that you are portraying the scene. So I think that's pretty much it for.
Do you guys have any
Our list.
questions as far as anything?
I suppose, so we're gonna be getting ready where?
Here, right?
Here.
Yep.
Getting ready
Yeah.
here, and
Yep.
then we're gonna
Yeah.
be
And I'll
walking,
send out an email later on what times you should be here and,
Yeah.
and then we'll be leaving here in costume and character,
Yes, right.
walking out.
Yeah, so
We're-
people may
Mhm.
say
Okay.
things to you, or
Yeah.
you'll be passing people as you go up. Yeah, so you're in character from as
We
soon as
would
you leave
try-
the room.
When we were walking through the crowds, that's another thing.
Yeah.
We would try and keep the baby kind of hidden, since it is a fake baby. You
Yeah.
don't want to really blow the illusion, because
Right.
when people look right at it,
Right.
it's kind of like, oh, it's a fake baby.
Yeah, you want to maintain the illusion.
Yeah, just
you
keep it
can.
special for them. They always think it's specialer if it's a real baby, so if they can kind of think it is, then it just makes it more realistic for them.
Yeah.
I think we plan on having all the characters go out together.
Oh, that's good.
And we're
Uh-huh.
gonna sing, "Oh Come All You Faithful." as
Yes,
we're going.
like
Yes.
last year we did.
Yeah, we did that
And
last year.
We're gonna learn all the verses this
Okay,
year.
good.
Oh, good. Yeah, because last year we only knew one
Yeah,
verse.
I know.
Yeah.
We just kept repeating it
Yeah.
over and over.
Oh well, it worked.
It did, it did.
It worked.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but enjoy it and have fun, and
Mhm.
just do your best and enjoy
Yeah.
being together.
Mhm.
So
It's a lot of fun.
it is a lot of fun. Yeah,
What
and
kinds
you'll
of
have some good
things?
memories.
What kinds of things in character can you respond to guests' questions?
Yeah.
It depends. We didn't have, because it's a pretty good distance from the guests, so it's
Right.
not like they're gonna be right up asking you questions, but sometimes you'll get a guest that'll just be like, is the baby real or something? And we would kind of just smile at them and
Just
just
kind of, sort of an
sorta
ambiguous
nod
kind
or
of.
something,
don't
just
respond verbally back.
not
to
really
them.
a verbal response, no.
And they won't really ask you weird questions or questions that you aren't prepared. It'll be stuff like that, like, is the baby real,
Yeah.
or do you work? It might be stuff like that, but
Uh-huh.
yeah,
Yeah,
you don't have
sometimes,
to worry about
there were a
responding.
few times
particularly.
I responded to like a little kid that would say hi or something to you, I just, like hello or
Yeah,
something
you
back
can
to
say
them.
shalom.
Or smile at them, because, you want to interact with them, like, you're not separated, like, from reality. They're still people there, so you want them to feel
Sounds like
welcome.
They might ask you if you're cold. I think a couple people are like, "Are you cold in there?" or whatever. Sometimes it's kind of point blank questions, so you do kind of like the lady that asked us, "Is the baby real, or is that your baby, or whatever?"
Yeah.
And she was like loud enough and specific enough that
Mhm.
we kind of, but I think we still just smiled and kind of went along.
Just kind of, just think in the moment, kind of, and just try and keep in character as best you can.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I don't
But you don't get too many people asking questions or anything like that.
Yeah.
Most people are just coming up and looking, and they'll smile,
Mhm.
and they might make eye contact with you, but
Mhm.
I don't think we got too terribly many people asking questions.
Right.
And most of them were about the baby.
Mhm.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
just have one response.
Because they're concerned if it's a real baby, if the baby's warm and stuff, so that's something that you
Yeah.
make sure you keep
Plenty
it muddled
warm.
and stuff, so